The Atheist Debates Patreon project presents The Artful Dodger. So recently I dodged a metaphorical bullet and was referred to as the Artful Dodger by my opposition, and they weren't trying to be nice about it. They're trying to claim that I'm kind of some sort of slippery character. Now, I'm not going to name names, and I don't want to waste too many people's time. This is not merely a, ooh, somebody doesn't like me and called me names video. It's really about talking about who I think we should engage with and who we shouldn't. If I tried to make a video every time somebody called me a name, I would never get anything else done. So the backstory on this is pretty straightforward. I've worked with a number of different organizations to have debates over the years. I don't generally arrange my own debates. Matter of fact, I'm not sure that I've ever personally arranged any debate. I have worked with someone to arrange debates. And what I tend to do is wait for someone to say, hey, we'd like you to come have a discussion with this person on this topic. And quite frankly, most of the time, one of the most common questions I get, which you'll see even in recent interviews that I've done, is, oh, who would you most like to debate? And my answer to that's been consistent. I don't look at debates that way. I don't view debates as win-lose propositions. I don't view them as WWE events. And I don't have like a list of people who I want to have debates with. Instead, I'm willing to have debates on any topic that I am interested in with anyone who demonstrates that they are also interested in a good discussion on the topic and that they may have some expertise and that they're not a time waster. It's not like I'm interested in debating the existence of God with the guy with the sandwich board out on the street. That's not really going to have much benefit for any of us. I have engaged with street preachers on a number of occasions, and sometimes it goes pretty well and sometimes it doesn't. But I was offered a debate, and actually I was talking with the organizer. We were going through a potential list of names. And there were some names that I was like, yeah, I might be interested in that. There were some where I wasn't. Now you might say, well, Matt, if you're not concerned about who are you debating, why on earth would you turn down based on who it was? And that's because some of the people who were proposed, I'd already engaged with in some form and knew that this was not going to be something that was going to raise the level of discourse on the conversation. It wasn't going to be of much benefit to anybody. And so one of the proposed debates I had said, I hadn't agreed to yet, but I had said that, we could talk about it. Perhaps it'd be a good debate. And that we started moving forward on date and subject and time and things like that. And then I was pointed to a GoFundMe where the person who had been approached about possibly having a debate with me put up a GoFundMe. And in that GoFundMe, he called me a charlatan, asked for help beating me. All of this is directed at me. I get to debate one of the most prominent atheist debaters on the planet. Please, I want to take a week off of work so I can go watch multiple episodes of The Atheist Experience, and I can watch Matt's other debates so we can prepare to beat him. There's a lot more to that story, but as soon as I saw that, I had objections. Now, some people thought that my objections were, oh my gosh, this guy's making money. I don't care about that. If you can get someone to pay you to do a debate, hell, if you can get someone to pay you to sit there and watch cat videos, go for it. I have no objection to that. But when you go out to tell people, hey, I want you to pay me to take a week off work to prepare for a debate when the debate hasn't been agreed to, it's still in the discussion phase. That may not be entirely his fault, but in the entirety of my life, nobody ever paid me to prepare for a debate, and I never asked anybody to pay me to prepare for a debate. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be accepting debates unless I thought I was relatively prepared already. But the big thing is that I don't look at it as, oh, I need to prepare for the person. Instead, I prepare for the subject. Well, as soon as I pointed out that he wasn't qualified, and the reason for me saying that he wasn't qualified was that it was very clear this is a person who had me as the target, not the subject, that this person was immediately going out and requesting funds long before anything had been officially agreed to yet. And there's no guarantee that it would have been agreed to. I hadn't said yes yet. And if their focus is on the wrong thing, and then they're wanting to, there's something about their character that immediately let me know this is probably not going to go well. And when I called them out on it, boy, did things spiral in an interesting way. I was accused of literally getting paid to do the Atheist Experience and mock people every week. Well, first of all, it's not what happens every week. And as I pointed out, I've literally never been paid a penny for the Atheist Experience. I'm not allowed to be paid for the Atheist Experience, especially while I'm president. And I have no problem at all being paid for debates. I get paid for almost every debate I've ever done. I get paid for. It's my job. But I don't have to take time off from my job to do it. I'm not begrudging anybody making a living or getting donations or anything else. It's about, what are you portraying? And this entire thing was, we need to beat Matt. I don't think you're going to find too much in the way of me saying, ooh, I want to go beat this person at a debate. Instead, it's about having good conversations. And so they were a little bothered by the fact that I said they weren't qualified. And what I meant by that was, I'm looking for a particular type of person. We're going to talk about more about that in a minute, to have debates with me. And there are some people who just aren't qualified. And that includes the guy out on the street with the sandwich board. And if you are the internet equivalent of the guy out on the street with the sandwich board, or if you're, coming in with all of your 4chan insults afterwards, you definitely weren't qualified. So after accusing me of getting paid for XP and correcting that, he went and did a video, which I don't know if it's still up. I have a copy of it because it was really funny. It was like 5 minutes of, Matt's a coward. Matt's not manly enough. He doesn't have the balls. He doesn't have the sack. He's a soy boy. For those who aren't familiar, evidently soy boy is an insult about men being effeminate because they drink soy milk or something. I don't know what it is, other than it's just basically, you're not really a man. And that was really funny because it confirmed things about his character that I had suspected from the get-go when it was all about me. And then some of his friends did like a 4-hour live stream about what a soy boy, effeminate, not manly man I was. I would link to this, except that I don't want to draw attention to him. They have no audience. They don't deserve attention. And I'm not just doing that. If I really wanted to poke at them or whatever, I'd link to them. It's strange because then they did another follow-up hang-up about wondering about the ACA's financials. And is it true that Matt doesn't get paid? Then he emailed to ask for a truce, or actually before this, he emailed on Friday night. He asked to email for a truce, saying that he only called me names because I said he wasn't qualified, suggesting that I had somehow begun an ad hominem battle, that by saying he wasn't qualified, I was essentially calling him names, and that therefore it's justified for him to say that I'm a gutless, sackless, ballless, unmanly coward soy boy. The thing is, if I say that somebody's unqualified, I'm making an assessment based on a set of criteria, and I'll talk about my criteria in a moment. His response wasn't to say, oh, yes, I am qualified, and by the way, you're not. It was just to challenge my manliness. And that shows me everything that I needed to know about him and all of his friends who jumped in on this, or maybe it's not all of his friends, but the friends who were public. So he'd emailed to ask for a truce, and I was like, no, I'm going to talk about this. If you say something that I view as racist, and I point out that it's racist, if you then call me racist names afterward, that only affirms my assessment of your character. It's not, well, because you called me a racist, now I'm justified in calling you racist names. That's not the way this works. And yet that's exactly what he tried to do in email. He's like, well, I didn't say this until after you said I was unqualified. Well, I didn't say you were unqualified until after you demonstrated it, and after you made this about me, and after you accused me of being a charlatan. And he and some of his friends are absolutely obsessed over this. But we don't need to talk about them at all anymore, because the purpose of this video is to talk about who we are and are not platforming, who we're engaging with, and what the criteria should be. I've hosted the Atheist Experience for 15 years, and the most common complaints that somebody will raise is that we only go after low-hanging fruit. They even think that the call screeners screen out the good callers. It's an unbelievable lie. I can't wait to have people. I would love to have people come down and sit in along with the call screeners to see what calls are coming in. What we weed out are the worst. What we prioritize are theists, and we try to prioritize the best theist callers because genuinely we'd like to have the best show. And by the way, best show doesn't mean who's confused, who's mentally unstable, who can we bat around, who can we run circles around. It is legitimately what is going to produce a better discussion. I want to have my debates and discussions be with people who demonstrate a desire to address the subject rather than the person. I don't go out saying, ooh, I want to debate that person. Very rarely. Once upon a time, I might have, said, ooh, it might be nice to have a debate with this person. But that's because I view them as someone worthy of having a discussion with. I don't think that the individuals who did this and who were like, oh, Matt's a soy boy or whatever, I don't even think that most of my former Christian debate opponents would look at those individuals and say, yes, they are in fact the representatives of Christianity we want, which is why they have no audience and they have no impact. And yet they really wanted one. So after being accused of going after low-hanging fruit, which, by the way, the individual that we're discussing who decided to start all this name calling and GoFundMe stuff is a former caller. He acknowledged it in the email to me that he had called the show previously and was not happy with how it went. And so he's held a little grudge against me. If we're going to push for better conversations, which is one of the key points behind this Atheist Debates project, I want atheists to stop making bad arguments, and I'd like for theists to stop making bad arguments as well. I'd like to avoid as much ad hominem name-calling bullshittery as possible and actually try to focus on the discussion at hand. Even this past weekend when I did a debate with Hare Krishna about epistemology, when backed into a corner, and we'll see more of this in upcoming videos, about a failure to demonstrate epistemology, he then begins to direct it at me and specifically my character. Oh, I'm just not open to that experience, or there's something wrong with my character that prevents me from seeing the truth of this. Science doesn't care what you believe, and science doesn't care what your character's like. It works. So the key thing here that really, it made me laugh and it made me sad, was that instead of ever pointing out where I had a bad argument, instead of ever pointing out a good argument for their position, it was just an obsession with my genitals and my manliness. Now, I want all of my Christian friends and former debate opponents to know that I, of course, do not view all of Christians through the lens of these individuals. And it's a group of individuals. It's a little cesspool of YouTube people who are suggesting that their opponent doesn't have testicles and countless other ad hominems. If I say that they're not qualified, is that an ad hominem? No. It's an assessment of their character and qualifications, which was confirmed by the way they responded to that. It wasn't, aha, look, Matt Dillahunty, rather than engaging in a debate, has decided to call me names. It was, Matt's this, and he's a coward, and he's not manly. I respect my audiences. I have an audience here on the Atheist Debates Project. I respect the audience here when I'm doing the Atheist Experience TV show. And I respect the audience on my new show, The Hang Up, which is on Wednesday nights on the line. I respect them all too much to waste any more time than is necessary. On a live call-in program where anybody can call in with almost anything, we try to weed out some of the biggest time wasters, but we're going to have conversations that aren't going to benefit people, that aren't particularly edifying, and don't stay on topic. Sometimes it's going to get heated. Sometimes it's going to be name calling. But as I move out of live call-in shows into the realm of, hey, we're going to sit down one-on-one, or perhaps two-on-two, and have a debate, the last thing I want to be doing is saying yes to debates with people who do not, and repeatedly have demonstrated that they do not have the capacity to engage in the subject honestly. And if the first thing somebody does when they're told, no, I'm not going to debate you, you're not qualified, is to suggest that, well, you just don't have the balls. Okay, you're an Artful Dodger. You're just dodging. You're dodging. Yes, I am. I am dodging a metaphorical train wreck and a metaphorical bullet because I have years of experience in identifying who is most likely a good interlocutor and worthy of discussion and who isn't. And I'm sorry, but the fact of the matter is not everybody deserves a particular seat at the debate table without demonstrating qualifications and a respect for the process. I don't think the overwhelming majority of the serious apologists that I've debated would look at what these individuals did and say, yes, you should have debated them because they are good representatives of Christianity, they are good thinkers, and they are likely to have a good conversation that doesn't devolve into ad hominem attacks. So if I say you're not qualified for this particular discussion, That's my assessment based on my criteria. And my criteria is I want to have the best conversations possible that focus on the issue and not the person, with individuals who actually respect the process and, shock of all shock, respect the interlocutor as well. I've had great conversations with many Christian apologists. Many of them I'm still friendly with and friends with. That's not the case for everybody. And when somebody is trying to come at you, if you're wanting to do debates, if you're wanting to get in this and you want to build up, of course, go do whatever debates you can. If you don't have any reputation or audience, that's how you're going to build a reputation. But at some point, you have to say, is this just poo-flinging that I'm going to have to dodge? Or is there a likelihood that we're going to have a good conversation? Thanks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
This video is made possible by supporters of the Atheist Debates Patreon project. You can find more information and add your support at patreon.com/atheistdebates.